dear dolly, Polly, shut your eyes, lie still, lie silent, utter no cries lest the witch should.
What a mess. Imagine finding something like this, only for it to hold a grisly discovery. This is exactly what the Tracy, California Police Department had to do when they were called to an irrigation pond to find a suitcase just floating around, only to open it up and find the body of an 8-year-old girl. Join me. This is the story about Sandra Cantu. Sandra Renee Cantu was born on March 8, 2001, to Maria Chavez and Daniel Cantu of Tracy, California. Described as a happy, outgoing, fun-loving person by many, you can only see great things happening for Sandra. Sadly, however, this would never come to be. On March 27, 2009, Sandra went to play at a friend's house until 4 p.m. when she came home. Later on, she told her mom she was going to play at another friend's house where she was seen by surveillance footage happily skipping towards her destination. Around 7:30 p.m., when Sandra didn't return home for dinner, her mom called around to check to see if anybody had seen her. When neighbors said they hadn't, she then called 911 to report her missing. When the police arrived, they searched the home and all around the mobile home park, but there was no sign of Sandra Cantu anywhere. The next day, Sandra's disappearance had been ruled a missing persons, and the police, FBI, as well as many volunteers over the weekend conducted a search for the missing girl. And as far as suspects went, police mainly focused on adult men, including Sandra's father and a local man who was witnessed kissing Sandra on the lips 2 years earlier. Both were ruled out as suspects due to having strong alibis. It wasn't until 10 days later, on April 6, 2009, when police would find a suitcase that had surfaced from an irrigation pond. When they took the suitcase into custody and opened it, there they saw a small child stuffed in a fetal position. After checking the dental records, it was then where they found out that the deceased body was that of Sandra Cantu. When an autopsy was performed, they found out that Sandra had been drugged with Xanax, beaten, and sodomized by a foreign object. When police had this confirmation, they immediately notified the family. 4 days later, they arrested Melissa Huckaby, a Sunday school teacher and friend of the family, and they charged her with the murder of Sandra Cantu, based upon a note she had given them detailing where they could find the suitcase she reported missing to Sandra's mother on the day of her disappearance. And Sandra's blood was found on a rolling pin in the church where Melissa taught Sunday school. Days later, Melissa would go on to confess to murdering Sandra, where she received the punishment of life without the possibility of parole. This was done as a plea deal to avoid the death penalty, which would have meant she could no longer have any contact with her own child. And still to this day, a lot of people still wonder the question, why did Melissa Huckaby do this? Why did she murder this innocent little girl? Even Melissa says she didn't know why she did it. But a lot of people basically suspect that she wanted to be the center of attention. Some even said she was jealous of Sandra end her relationship with Melissa's daughter. But with a person who suffered from bipolar, depression, and schizophrenia, I don't think you'll ever get those answers. A sweet, innocent little girl whose life was taken, all because a woman wanted to be the center of attention. Sandra Cantu would have been 18 years old this day if she would have grown up to be a great adult with lots of achievements in her life, or would she have been a rebellious teenager who would have become a menace to society? We'll never know, because she never had the chance. Sandra Cantu was buried at the Tracy Mausoleum on April 15, 2009. She was 8 years old.
My dear daughter.